Good morning and welcome to Hana's Tea Room, and welcome to the first segment of Sweet Treat, the where we play games and host a Q&A and do random things that don't fit into a normal free chat Zatsu stream. I'll do some chatting, but it won't be this fully free chat like we usually do. But it'll be super fun, just like a sweet treat would be. I also am premiering my new outfit avatar. I drew it yesterday. It's a little bit casual, a little bit formal, and extra cute. Today we're going to be doing a Would I Try Japan edition. I'll also add some little Would I Try of random things in North America as well. First one up is nabe. I would try the communal hot pot. It would be fun to try a Japanese communal hot pot. I love all the fresh vegetables, protein, and broth balance that all of the diners that I would be participating with would contribute to the pot. The fact that it has mushrooms in it, which is one of my favorite vegetables, earns it extra bonus points. There's usually enoki and shiitake and a whole bunch of different vegetable mushroom varieties inside the hot pot. You can even choose whatever protein you want, depending on the season, and the vegetables change up because of the season too. They even serve raw egg with it, which is pasteurized and safe in Japan. No chemicals, so it's super healthy and super mild in flavor. I would try it because it's very, very safe. And it's savory. Ame tried it yesterday and she enjoyed it a little bit, but then she felt it the next day. So I guess it's an acquired taste for our North American palate. Or it was a little too weird for her because we're so used to it not being safe here that our bodies are tricking us to think we're not eating something completely healthy for us. The next one is okonomiyaki. Would I try it? I've tried it once at one of our local sushi restaurants. It's super delicious, kind of like takoyaki. It's a Japanese pancake with lots of different vegetables inside, like spinach and cabbage and yummy mushrooms and all sorts of yummy flavors in seafood. There's so many different varieties. It's kind of like actual pizza because you can customize it to your own tastes and preferences. Even there are some okonomiyaki restaurants where you can actually fry your own. They provide the batter, they provide the ingredients, then turn on the grill and off you go, making it whatever taste that you prefer. And yes, it's as good as takoyaki, the yummy octopus balls that you can get at festivals. It's always topped with bonito shavings, red ginger, and Japanese mayonnaise, which is a little bit more egg than what we have here, and has a bit of sushi vinegar in it. It gives it a more savory, buttery flavor to it. Another big classic, which is a staple of Japan, is shabu shabu. Swish, swish. It's basically you cook really thin meat on a grill and then share it amongst your party. The grill can also double as a vegetable grill as well, so you can also cook it that way as well. I'm actually considering teppanyaki as well, but It's shabu shabu is like using a broth as a base for your meal. Teppanyaki is the fried grilled vegetables and meat. But it's basically a thinner broth than the nabe. So it's within those three ballpark cuisines in Japan that are communal. A lot of families have it, which they enjoy once a week or twice a week, depending on how busy they are. It gets the family together and they can enjoy conversations over the grill or the hot plate or the boiling little ceramic pot where they eat all their yummy dishes. It's akin to fondue, but a little bit more elaborate in what type of ingredients they have. Would I try natto? No, that's one of the really weird dishes that have a weird texture that I probably would not try. Fauna Nay tried it, and the texture kind of threw her off. And I'm big on textures as well in food. If I don't really like the texture, I probably wouldn't like the dish. It's if it's spicy too, I wouldn't eat it. Lightly spiced, maybe, but natto isn't known for its spice, so it's all good. And and also, with on that note, Fauna Nay is coming home, and doing a stream this afternoon at 3. She had a wonderful time in Japan, and she has lots of stories to tell, and she'll be playing Jump King. She's a little jet lagged, but not too bad. She's super excited on returning to telling everybody how her trip went. Mei Mei is still kind of suffering from the jet lag and hoping that she'll be able to get a full night's sleep soon. She's slowly getting back to it, but not quite. She said yesterday that she was managed to get at least a day's worth of rest and rejuvenating sleep and feels a little bit better. So I'm hoping Fauna doesn't have the same experience with jet lag that Mei Mei had. Bei is starting to come back too, so hopefully her trip back to Australia is very, very smooth and she doesn't have quite as much jet lag as the other girls did. Ame is still in Japan and so is Kiara, so they're having collabs with all the JP members, enjoying different recipes, trying new cooking streams. They had oyakudon today, which was super delicious looking. And Kiara said that when she goes back to Europe that she would definitely try it because it was so simple to make. She lives in Austria, so she doesn't always have the same Japanese dishes as traditional ones, but she's very, very fluent in Japan. She's lived there a couple of years herself and travels a lot between the countries for conventions, and she even makes her own costumes and weapons, prop weapons for her different costumes. She's one of the more famous cosplayers, and she loves going to conventions and seeing all the different art and all the different costumes in the different alleys that they have at big convention halls. I've only been once to Anime North, to all the different little costume shops, the kiosks, and some of the press conferences. I even met a whole bunch of voice actors, including my heroes, who used to voice in Gundam Seed and Gundam Wing. They're very friendly, and it's a really good memory for me because I loved learning their stories and find out about their voice acting history. It inspired me to find that how they gained confidence from recording all these podcasts and radio broadcasts and voices and how they set up their studio. I probably won't get to that level as they do, but knowing they're from Vancouver, there is a possibility of reaching that height someday. Back onto the topic at hand, would I try Anko, sweet beans? Yes, I've tried many a dish with sweet red beans, sweet Anko. I've had it in taiyaki, mochi, and dango. You can even have as a pudding, which isn't available in stores here yet, but you can easily make it if you bring home some anko and boil it yourself. It's super delicious. It is not overly sweet like uh, regular desserts are. It's a subtle sweetness, and it's super healthy for you as well. And it's usually wrapped in rice flour uh, pastry, so it's extra light that way. It has a bit of a marshmallow type taste, texture to it if it's in a rice flour package. And or the pastry form like the taiyaki, where it's like a small little koi fish. You can eat it from the tail or you can eat it from its head. Depends on your feeling. Kind of like gingerbread. Some people eat it from the head, some people eat it from an arm, some people eat it from their foot. It depends on how you feel about attacking your food. Would I ever try umeboshi? Pickled salted plums? Umeboshi is an acquired taste. That's all I can say. I've had one, and it's super sour and super salty. You want to have it tempered with a bit of sweetness to make it palatable. I was able to have one or two, then I had to discard the package because it was way too strong for me. I would probably try it again if it was wrapped in the rice flour packaging, like a dumpling, because then I would possibly have a little balance of both sweet and sour at the same time. As I said, I would try raw egg too. Would I visit an onsen in Japan? Hot spring baths are a rite of passage in Japan, where you join a whole bunch of your colleagues or whoever you're traveling with and enjoy a public bath together. First you shower, then you hop into this giant, huge swimming pool-sized bathtub and soak for hours on end, or as long as you have a conversation going. It's segregated by gender, so you can join it with your lady friends, and then the men can join with their men friends. There's also mixed gender ones, which is even more adventurous. There's little partition in between, like little rocks here and there for the men and women, but it's still you're still sharing a bath with them. The reason why you shower before your bath is because you don't want to get the water all dirty with your dirt and filth. It's their way of keeping the water pure as they can. They even do this in private households where they have a bathtub, fill it with water at the beginning of the evening, and then you each take turns taking a bath after you've had your little wash down out in their little shower section. Each person gets their own time slot of when they can use the little bathtub. It's deeper than a North American bathtub, and the water is a little bit more hotter. So it's way more beneficial for the people in the household or the people that you're sharing the bath with. Fauna Iris and Bay and Maymay even had one of those private baths, each taking their own turn. Iris got to have the bath last one day, and she said that it was kind of awkward. But when Iris got it first, she felt quite at ease because she knew that she was the first one to use it for the day or the evening. It was perfect after walking around the temples and those long steps up to the temple and all the different sites that they visited. One day she said that she even got 14K steps, almost double or triple the ones that I usually take with the 10K. And she was sore for a couple of days. Would I be able to do the 14K around? Or do the temple steps? If I take breaks halfway between the major points, yes. Uphills are never quite easy. I'm getting better at them. I can do my inclines pretty easily around our hiking trails in the neighborhood. No more getting winded at large, steep hills either. I'm working my way up to even bigger heights. So the year of doing 10K have been good for me. I started around May, doing even more steps than I used to. I used to do only 8,000 a day. Then I was able to move up to the 10K. I can do at least 11K now when it's nice out and I can go for more walks. Today I was able to luckily avoid the windstorm because it was nice and sunny in the morning. First thing in the morning, around 6, no, it was a little damp and a little bit blustery, so I stayed inside and watched Pekara do her birthday concert. She invited a whole bunch of guests, and she also invited Gura, who is just recovering right now from her illnesses. Hopefully, this is a sign that Gura will be able to come back soon, just like Ina. Because we miss Gura and her fun. She was the very, very first English member that got 1 million subscribers. And then she's now at the pinnacle, about 2 million plus, because of her popularity. And everybody loves a talking shark. She's very, very comedic and entertaining, and her voice is really beautiful when she sings, like jazz and all the standards, Tony Bennett, and many of the pop standards, which is really, really fun to listen to. She always does impromptu concerts or fun crafting streams. Her games are her game choices are really fun too. I really enjoy watching it around dinner time or after dinner because her streams are always around 5:30, 6 o'clock, just in time for the after dinner crew to join her up. Fauna is usually 3, so in May's around between 5 and 8, depending on how busy she gets and how if Animal wants to go for a walk sometime in between those times. She also has to get dinner, so technically that's a thing. I usually hear Watame around breakfast time, so I get to start the day with her quite often. Would I visit a tea house? Yes, definitely. I would love to see a traditional tea ceremony and have matcha and all the pure tea ingredients done in a very, very serene setting. I'd also love to try the tea dango that they make at those tea ceremonies and their famous Japanese sweets. It would be completely wonderful to see it in person versus reading all about it or watching it on anime and reading about it in manga. Would I visit a Japanese temple again? Yes, definitely. Those are very, very serene locations too. Yes, in Japan there's a lot of steps, like Iris had spoken of, but it's well worth the trek up the hill just to visit it and pray at the shrine and ask for good luck in different aspects of my life with the uh, little tiny scrolls they give you and talisman. It's amazing process, and all the little statues and architecture are beautiful at a Japanese temple. Would I visit a cat cafe like Fauna Bay and Watame Snake-chan did? Yes, I'd definitely visit a cat cafe. Those are super cute. And seeing all the different varieties in all one place would be super fun. I would also try to visit a butler cafe or a maid cafe because of how beautiful their fashions are. It'd be nice to be waited on and called mistress. It's kind of a novelty, and sometimes at maid cafes or butler cafes, they even wear cat ears, so there is a super cute experience. I'd also visit many of their afternoon tea houses that they have in Japan, where they sell specialty seasonal tea trays. There's even anime themed cafes where you can have little pictures of the Sanrio characters, Hololive characters, and all sorts of different animes that are popular in Japan. They always have little theme cafes. There's also Sanrio Pearland, which is a wonderful little amusement park. And you can also take pictures with the Sanrio characters. You book a time slot and then you stand beside them and they take a lot of pictures together. In Japan, you have to block out your face because privacy is a big thing in Japan. You can't show your face in photos. It's kind of against the law. Hence why you see a lot of people in masks or people with a little stick that has a black on it, so they no one sees your face and your privacy is secure. You can take private pictures for yourself, and you don't have to worry about blocking out your face there. But if you're in public and if you're going to post it for social media or elsewhere, get ready to blank out or censor your face. Would I ever go to a giant huge idol concert? If there was one in playing at the time, I would. Most of the idol concerts are underground concerts, ones that you sometimes see at bars or coffee houses here in North America. They have an underground. You gotta go down a flight of stairs, and then it's in a dark room, and then everything is lit very dimly, and then the idols come out, and then you have these big, huge colored wands, and you shake it instead of clapping or cheering. It's a communal experience, which is very, very popular in Japan, like the nabe and the communal dining and the communal bathing. But it's one of the things that you start with in idol concerts, then you move up to stadiums and further on. That's why most of the Hololive members and Niji Sanji members start with karaoke sessions or small little concerts on their channels first, then they can work up to conventions and giant stadiums from there. Because they are idols, make no mistake about that. But it's elevated from that. There are some in Hololive and Nijisanji that don't do the singing circuit, but do comedy or talking or plain acting instead of singing directly on the stage. But most of them do have some singing background or some sort of musical background. If they don't want to sing, they can play their musical instrument or something akin to that. Like Desi, for instance, plays electronic music and piano and guitar, and even did one last night. And he sounded fantastic. He even did he sings too. Did a medley of Christmas songs as a present for everybody. It was fun to listen to. And then Altair sings a lot too, which it makes him a really good musician, and so does Shinri and many of the new Hololive members. I love hearing their songs as well. Soon enough, the new members will break into karaoke, probably further down the road, or in a couple of weeks when their month trial period is over. In the first month of Hololive, you are given a minimum of an hour to use, and a maximum. You can't go over an hour. If you want to do a collab between different members, you can get to 2 hours, but the minimum and maximum is an hour the first month. Then you can go as long as you wish after that. It's just to test the water to see if the viewers will enjoy your content or not. As for me, I haven't reached the pinnacle yet of an hour, so I won't be doing a live stream just yet, because I don't exactly have the same amount of content to use for a full hour. 30 minutes plus, I could probably manage quite well, depending on what I decide to discuss on that day, or if I do one of these gaming sweet treats stream ideas, because this gaming thing is a little easier to stretch for that long period of time. Mostly because we're all having fun together, so that's the big thing. You barely even look at your clock and you enjoy every single moment very leisurely. Just like if you were enjoying a cup of tea. I plan on making some sencha when I finish today, and then enjoy a shirataki Alfredo for lunch. It's very, very light, so I really am filling at the same time, which I super enjoy. They never asked me if I wanted any hot food brought back when my family went to grocery shopping today, so I'll be easily making my own, which I enjoy. Off on that tangent, one of the last few questions I had for myself was whether I would mountain climb. I'm kind of afraid of heights, so I might not do the free climbing or bouldering of that mostly consists of mountain climbing. That would be a little too taxing on my system, because I'm not physically strong and I am no good at heights. I'm good at walking around the trails on a mountain, mind you, like Mount Doug or Mount Tommy, but anything bigger than that, or anything I'd have to climb religiously myself, not so much. And Japan mountains, I would definitely consider climbing myself for the trails, mind you, not the actually wall, mind you. That would be not my cup of tea. And with mountains in Japan for their hikes, they always have small little tea houses at different points of the climb, so you can stop and have a lunch or tea or some sweets along the way. All handmade and all artisan booths, run by families sometimes, or run by big specialty stores in Japan. It's quite a different experience than our North American hikes, where they have water fountains at different points of the trail, but not exactly the snack booths or fun little sweet stands or even tea places like they do over there. Would I also uh, try indoor gym climbing? Probably if I had someone who was an expert at it. Back in the day, we had a friend that worked with us and looked after us who taught free climbing and gym climbing, but he has since moved to the United States, so we don't hear from him that often. He comes back once in a while to visit, which is nice, and I still keep in contact with him once in a while. He also loves Japan, just like my community group, and we love hearing each other's stories once in a while. I try to take pictures just so we can all stay basically together despite being far apart. Would I go for an overnight camping trip? Yes. Preferably if I had like a cot or something with me. Kind of a glamping type camping trip, probably. Backpacking with a sleeping bag, I'd have to get a lot of practice in beforehand. Because when I went as an elementary school student, my sleeping bag rolling skills was not very good. It would fall apart quite easily. I think now, as I'm older, I would have the dexterity to roll a sleeping bag, so backpacking would be quite fun. I would start probably closer to home or in the backyard for like campouts to begin with, and then work my way to actual outdoor camping. I'm not near the level of Vesper, who likes to go off trail and camp all by himself in the middle of nature where nobody can see him, no one can hear him, and he loves being absolutely alone. You won't find him at a campsite, that's for sure. He mentioned that on his break. He spent 2 weeks in the middle of nowhere, just camping by himself, backpacking, and avoided as many people as humanly possible. Yes, it's quite dangerous, but he carries a GPS with him. And in that 2 week break, he also bought a boar hunting spear. So technically, he has nothing to worry about whatsoever. He knows how to take care of himself quite well. It would be interesting to hear even more about his adventures when he comes back from Japan. He's been having tech problems, so he hasn't done too many streams. But he has done a lot of Twitter spaces, so we've been able to catch up there. As for my Twitter space idea still, I'm waffling about that. I'll stick with this so at the moment. And making little drawings and illustrations of my avatars as I get inspired to do a new one. I couldn't resist doing today's. I had a big, huge spark of inspiration by listening to all the off collabs that the girls were having in Japan. Though this is a more European style costume. More idol-like in a way, but more classic European RPG type costuming. Does the outfit have a skirt? Yes. It should be my character in Avatar would always wear a skirt and something classic. It could be a one-piece dress, or it could be more than that, or just a plain casual skirt. The cape is removable and it's mostly sleeveless, and the ribbon can be customized each time. The jewel on her chest is basically there as like a protective amulet. I believe in the story I would have had her sister make it for her and design the outfit for her, because her little sister is a fashion designer. Her big sister is a vampire. They're not related by blood by any means. Her youngest sister was adopted into her family, and her big sister is like a big sister figure to her. I wrote many a chapter with them, and they have a nice dynamic living together in Cornwall. It's one of my favorite places in Europe to read about, mostly from the Poldark series that I would read quite religiously and watch on television. I'm hoping that they do the time skip season sometime soon, because people would love to see the finale of the books one day. But I don't know if the actors and the directors want to do a full time skip just yet, because it's quite an ample one, about 10, 15, 20 years in the future from where they ended the series in the books, in the television show. Mostly because the author had taken about a year off before he wrote the last couple of books. Not on the same level as the Game of Thrones writer, who's taken many years off, and we do not know when he'll ever finish the book series, despite the television show being completely done already. Am I satisfied with the ending? Well, it's hit or miss. It doesn't seem like a full, complete ending as one would want it to be. There's supposed to be a Jon Snow sequel, so that's a thing. They may actually add on to the show from there. I believe the actor who plays Jon Snow will be directing it too, so, and writing for it. So when it does decide to hit the airwaves, we'll see how he's progressed the story, or if he's progressed it at any level whatsoever. Game of Thrones is definitely one of my favorites to watch. Just like the prequel and the Lord of the Rings prequel, that was controversial and didn't have the same appeal as the Lord of the Rings itself did. It's an uphill climb to get used to all new stories and different outlooks on what the characters were back in the day, before they had their famous roles in Lord of the Rings. I'm highly anticipating what their Gandalf is going to be like in his early years, and what his powers will develop to be in those middle years. We've met a lot of the enemies and learned some of their insights so far in the first season. The second season is supposed to be next year, this year, nearly closer to fall. So, that would be something to look forward to. They've already recast some of the characters, because some of them haven't come back and others are evolving as characters. So the recasting makes more sense, because they're not exactly the same character they were back in the day, back in the first season. And they probably wouldn't look the same as what they did back then, because they've possibly grown from there. In the prequel, there wasn't as many time skips as the House of the Dragon one, so we could get more invested with the characters. This one, I believe there might be a time skip. I can't guarantee anything. Don't take my word as gospel for a time skip for the Rings of Power. That one, I can only tell by reading different synopsises and seeing different pictures of the that are available online. As for House of the Dragon, I haven't seen any pictures of it, but I've heard of cast rumors, and that will be a long while from now. So I don't quite know what's going to be happening next for both prequels. I think most people are doing speculation of what it's going to be like. And there's supposed to be brand new television shows coming out sometime in the fall, so we can assume there's going to be some neat sci-fi and fantasy shows coming on. Mostly because we need to replace a lot of the CW shows that are getting cancelled this year, like Riverdale and The Flash and Superman and Lois and Stargirl and Batwoman, because I think CW, when they got bought out, doesn't want to do any more original programming that was created here in Canada anymore. Mostly to save money. Which is kind of sad, but kind of exciting in the same way. Depending on what programming they decide to actually bring in to replace all the original ones. If it's all syndicated and game shows, well, CW is going to go downhill quite quickly. Because The Flash and all the DC shows and all the comic book based shows like Riverdale were a big draw for people. Just like Supernatural and Walker. Those were all based on everybody's liking of the actors and the cast and the story that they're all based on. And they were all connected somehow, either by director or where they had filmed in Vancouver. Cast members could visit other cast members from different shows, and a lot of voice actors even guest starred in some of those CW shows. Flash is intending to have a 9 to 10 episode finishing arc with Oliver Queen coming back from the dead. Or we're assuming that the Flash makes his untimely demise and he meets Oliver Queen in the afterlife. I'm not quite sure how they're going to bring Oliver Queen, Stephen Amell's Arrow, back, but it's either the Flash dies or they somehow bring Oliver Queen back from the dead with Felicity for a couple of for most of the episode. But I seriously doubt bringing Oliver Queen back to life, because they only mentioned that Diggle and Oliver Queen were coming back for the episode, and Oliver would never leave his Felicity behind, so it has to be something as final as the Flash dying on us to end the series. Which is kind of sad, but kind of makes sense at the same time. Because we wouldn't want him to continue a storyline and then get stagnant and not have an actual definite ending for a series finale. I'm not quite sure what they're going to do for Riverdale for a definite ending, because that one's all over the place when it comes to story. They're going back to the 50s this season, so probably something happens in that period of time that causes a rift or a definite end for all the Riverdale characters. I'm expecting a lot of cameos for that one, and quite a bit of craziness and darkness, because that's what Riverdale had become on the CW. It was complete opposite of those Archie comics that people read back in the day. Did you ever like any of the CW programs or the comic book programs that were on the show on the CW network? Or did you even have the channel? Or did you watch it on Netflix? Let me know in the comments. And hopefully you have a very, very good day. And if it's stormy out, please stay inside. And if it's sunny out, try to catch a bit of the calm weather before the storms come. Thank you so much, and have a great lunch hour too.